Well, hello to everybody in the internet universe here. We're another episode of Canadian Football Countdown 274. It's Grey Cup week, boys. The best week of the season. When everyone's getting together in Vancouver right now, I love seeing all the different jerseys together, regardless of your team's in it or not. Ryan, he's going to take sit shotgun today. Adam down below. I'm in charge today. Getting some. What was this? A draft, a trade thing from 3 years ago or 2 years ago, Ryan? Something like that.
What is this?
Is this not the condition pick thing? Like when was this? When was that trade made?
Yes. Okay, so as your local private fantasy league commissioner, I can now say the trade between Team Trey and Team Ryan from August 28th, 2023 is now complete, in which, let me see, what were the final deal? Hang on. I believe I traded, or Trey traded me James Butler and Justin McInnes for Kevin Brown, Keon Schaefer-Baker, and the keys to drive the car for at least one episode of the podcast. And we chose Grey Cup Week 2024.
Because, my favorite part is I can do this. Adam's muted. That's all I wanted. It would have been better if Mike was here, but Mike's unable to make it today. I think he'll be back on Sunday. He'll have a little post-game show, I believe. But before we get too into the show, as always, we want to thank our sponsor, Game Time TV, because the Canadian Football Countdown is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time TV. Learn more by visiting GameTimeTV.ca or following on Facebook at facebook.com/GameTime. TVMB. I didn't mute you that time, buddy. Okay. And as always, we also want to acknowledge that the Canadian Football Countdown is brought to you from Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and the homeland of the Métis Nation, as well from Treaty 4 territory, the traditional territory of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and Métis Nation. And you probably already know by now, but maybe you stumbled onto this show by mistake and you're just going to stick around for a little bit. If you want to check more stuff out, check us out on their Discord, the Canadian Football Countdown Community Discord. We always got some fun stuff going on there. There we go. My internet's going to cut out on me too, and it's going to ruin everything. We're going to talk about Grey Cup. Am I okay on your guys' end? Okay, there we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to Grey Cup simulation. I spent the time on college football. I didn't go into the work here of making the fancy names and the players. It's just the jerseys, guys, but it's still fun. This is going to be the official simulation, so I'll get this started here. And while we watch this in the background, we're going to talk about some things. The awards are going to kick off in about 25 minutes. We'll have live reaction to that. Oh, there we go. But real quick, let's talk about last week and your guys' thoughts on how the division finals went. Of course, Toronto with the early game getting a win, even though Chad Kelly went down. Ryan, what's your thoughts on Arbuckle and how do you think he's going to how he finished out the game?
Well, first, I think we should say good evening to Adam. You muted him before, but we never actually said hello to him. So, hey, Adam, how's it going?
Oh, hi, Adam. I was too excited.
Hi, how you doing? Anyways, no, I'm doing good. I'm just enjoying you guys. No, things going good. I mean, we're full now into, hope is optimistic here in Ryderville always, and now we're into next year country like always. So, yeah, as we watch the Argos take the field, and the Bombers, Mike O'Shea's getting the players pumped up on the sidelines there. Over on the simulation, no, I'm good. So yeah, we were talking about the Argos Montreal game. I think do you want to go ahead, Ryan?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is Kevin Glenn 2.0 is the storyline you'll hear throughout this entire week, which is that, going back to 2007, Kevin Glenn goes down for the Bombers in the Eastern Final against the Toronto Argonauts. and none other than current Argos head coach Ryan Dinwiddie has to start randomly in the Grey Cup game against Saskatchewan Roughriders. It does not go well at all. And the Riders win the Grey Cup that year. And just so happens to be the similar case here that the big story is Chad Kelly goes down with a broken leg or a broken ankle, I think it is, in this game. Nick Arbuckle comes in, they pull out the win, and Nick Arbuckle is suddenly starting in the Grey Cup. And who saw that being the scenario coming into this season after the last couple of years have played out? The Argos got it done, and now the big storyline is, can Arbuckle pull out some magic out of his hat coming into this week? That's the main thing I took away from that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big one that I seen there too. First things first, I can't believe the offensive lineman that seen Chad Kelly try to stand up after the injury and go back down. I can't believe that guy kept his lunch in, because that was scary. You could see it coming with Montreal, to be honest. I mean, they just haven't been that real dominating team like they were at the beginning of the year. And, just in the end, it bit them. Isn't it ironic, though, also that the guy that broke Kevin Glenn's arm in that 07 Grey Cup is now a defensive coordinator on the Toronto Argonauts as well? I mean, it's kind of crazy how much I flashback to 2007 there is for that game. There was there. But overall, the big thing I seen in that one, again, pretty high scoring game. Lots of good stuff. Again, I think that Polk is going to be the big thing in Toronto. I want to see what he does here now in a Grey Cup, and it'll be interesting to see what Nick Arbuckle can conjure up for a Grey Cup game.
Yeah, it was something like 6 of last 8 games Polk had 100 receiving yards, I think I heard, or something crazy. No?
Yeah.
Something like that. I thought it was some crazy stat. So we'll talk about that when we get into betting, maybe, because and see what. Wasn't it crazy like that, or what was it?
I think so. I'm just looking it up right now. Game log for Mackay Polk this year: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 7 over 100 yards. So pretty darn good end to the season. Did he end up getting the East nominee for most outstanding rookie? I think Bridges got it, correct? And you could definitely make an argument, however, for Mackay Polk in hindsight. I mean, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, pretty good rookie season, especially with your starting quarterback suspended for the first half of the year.
No, exactly. And I think, it's a very interesting game how it started off. It looked like neither offense really wanted to score. They kept playing hot potato with the ball. Was it Kelly threw the pick and then they fumbled it back right to them the same play? Really crazy game, and that's kind of how things went. Maybe real quick, we talk about Montreal and how good they started off. Does this end kind of seem like a disappointment, or do you think they still got some good building blocks for next year, Adam?
I think they got their pieces that they need to go on a run. The big question will be in quarterback, of course. If it's Cody Fajardo or if it's Davis Alexander. I know that they had media reports saying, oh, well, maybe we'll get them both, but I think that's pretty optimistic, to be honest with you. I'm sure that Davis Alexander, as we just see a touchdown here from the simulated Argonauts, getting carry runs are in for a touchdown. Nevertheless, it's going to be tough for them to beat both quarterbacks. But on the defensive side of the ball, I think they got some good, most of their players signed up back again for Montreal. Same thing also with their receivers. Lots of those are back. Austin Mack, of course, he signed a big contract when he came back from the NFL. So be interesting. There'll be some changes in Montreal, of course, but nothing major. And I think the biggest question mark is the quarterback position. Ryan?
Yeah, I just pulled up the Montreal potential free agent list from 3 Down Nation. Cody Fajardo is currently under contract for next year, so he's likely to be the main piece, I would think. It's a question of, can they retain Alexander? Does he look for a better future starting opportunity somewhere else? Walter Fletcher's probably a key free agent. At receiver, they've got most of them back. Like, I'd say Keon Julian Grant is the one notable potential free agent at wide receiver. So you look at those younger options they've got there. Austin Mack, does he come back for a full season after only playing a couple of games this year? Tyler Snead, Cole Speaker, Charleston Rambo, a healthy Tyson Philpott. I don't see any reason why this offense can't get back on track. It almost seemed like that Philpott injury was kind of the one that took the winds out of the sails for that offense, and maybe Fajardo just wasn't quite the same ever since he came back from injury and kind of stumbled towards the end of the season. And then on defense, they have a lot of their core pieces are still under contract for next year. So I see no reason that we shouldn't expect Montreal to be at the top of the East when it comes to next season. At this point in time, obviously, we have to wait and see what all the other teams are doing in free agency.
Nope, for sure. I was really impressed by that game, just how, and Arbuckle didn't look bad, right? At the late bit, he had some moments. He kept the game together. Wasn't like Montreal gave it to them, do you think? Either of you?
Yeah, Arbuckle 5 of 8, 73 yards at the end of the game. I mean, it's serviceable. He did what he needed to do. He didn't turn the ball over at the very end. He got the job done, right? And that's all you can expect him to do in that scenario. And now a full week of practice. He's the veteran guy. I think it's no question that he should be starting over Cameron Dukes, even though Dukes was the starter at the start of the year. You're not going to throw the sophomore or whatever he is into there with very little starter experience in the Grey Cup. You're going to go with a guy in Arbuckle who's been around the league for a number of years. And he's had ups and downs, but he's pulled out some good games in this time he's played before too. Adam?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Nick Arbuckle needs to be almost the ultimate Matt Nichols this week. He's got to be just a manager. He doesn't need to win the game for the Argonauts, as Coach Dinwiddie said earlier in his interviews this week. I think overall, he showed it in Montreal, the 5 of 8, of course, that he can just manage the game in front of him. And you know that Toronto's going to be having to rely heavily on a guy like Kadeem Carey, and as well as even get into the second running back a little bit there, and make sure that they're making sure that they don't have to let Arbuckle win this game for them. If Winnipeg gets up quick and early, like they did though against Saskatchewan, Toronto might have to change some stuff up. So, yeah, be very interesting to see what they do. But I thought Arbuckle did what he needed to do against the Alouettes to win the game. So, as we just see, simulated Nick Dembski go and celebrate another first down.
Yeah, there we go. And XFL Mike on AFN's in the chat. Hey, buddy, how's it going? He's excited. I know the AFN people are really excited to watch Grey Cup week. We got a nice shout out earlier this week. So thank you.
Yeah, shout out to XFL Mike G, who has done more today to promote this episode than I have done to promote this podcast at all over the last year, I feel like. Sharing it in every different channel. Shout out to you. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
100%. And we threw up a poll question that I'm sure the AFN people were interested in. Check out our X account for that. How many Rouges will be scored on Sunday? I'll pull that up too real quick here. See what the live odds are. It's open till about kickoff, the poll. 17 people have voted, and 59% says 1 to 2. While 24% says 2 to 3, 12% says 0, and 5% thinks 4 and over. So very interesting to see how many of the iconic Rouges is scored. Anything else we want to talk about Toronto, Montreal, the game itself last week, or do we want to get into the next one here?
Do we have to get into the next one?
Adam, we have a lot of time left on this simulation game as Dembski almost gets in there. That's the one. Anyway. We're gonna have to talk about this game, Adam. Very exciting game, very loud crowd at Princess Auto Stadium. It was funny. I got a text from from the wife saying, I never realized how loud it was. You can hear it on TV, the first down and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I guess we go to too many games. She wasn't able to make it on Saturday, which is, that was okay with me. I got the whole road to myself, except for some Rider fans that decided to show up. Ryan, as the other season ticket holder here for the Bombers, we'll go with you first. We'll let Adam just, I'll mute him for a second so he can just cuss it out for a little bit down there. Ryan, how do you feel about the Bombers on Saturday?
I mean, they did seemingly everything right in this game. I called it, this is the first playoff show I've been on. We all had, conflicts, so we didn't do our playoff preview predictions on air. You guys together kind of did the division final preview last week. But we put out our predictions in the Discord, and I believe my predictions were something along the lines of Zach Collaros completely disappears in the playoffs. He has been dismal this entire season long, so naturally we should all expect him to be even worse in the playoffs this year. And yet Zach Collaros will randomly throw for 3 touchdown passes and the Bombers will beat the Riders. And sure enough, that ended up happening. Collaros was on his game really, really well. 300 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. I thought this is the best playoff performance I've seen from him. Public service announcement to defenses around the CFL. You may want to cover Kenny Lawler because that did not happen whatsoever. I have never seen the same play work to such a magnitude over and over and over again. Like 3 touchdowns on 4 catches for 177 yards. When you have that going and then Brady Oliveira gets the run game going late in the game, it seems like the Bombers were just ready for this game. They had a game plan in place. We all expect the Riders defense to be able to shut down Oliveira, and I thought their defensive line really struggled against the run as well. So all kudos all the way around to the Bombers for getting the job done in the division finals, and we'll see if they can get the job done in the Grey Cup as they make their 5th straight trip back there. Adam?
Oh, this could be a while. Anyways,
we're going to talk about the Bombers' success first, then we'll talk about the Riders' failure later, okay?
Well, the Bombers did a great job of exactly what I said they needed to do. They needed to get the ball out to Kenny Lawler, get him involved early in the game, and make it so that Brady Oliveira could get the ball moving a little bit, and they did both of those pretty easily. They did these jet sweeps over to Nick Dembski, helped pull off pressure off of Brady Oliveira right away, and all of a sudden Brady Oliveira is moving. And then, you know what? Zach Collaros all of a sudden looked downfield. Oh, Kenny Lawler's that open. Okay, I guess I better go hit him. I mean, it just was one of those games that the Bombers offense could do no wrong, essentially. And yeah, on the other side of the football, I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but overall, the Bombers also on their defense did a great job, and they weren't given I don't think, enough credit. They completely shut down one of the best Canadians in the league in Sam Ellis. Didn't have a catch almost in the whole game. The only guy that actually got anything going in this whole game was Keon Schaefer-Baker. Had some plays, but not a lot. And as we just see, simulated Mackay Polk get a touchdown. Nevertheless, it just was not a good game plan for the Riders, and the Bombers executed to perfection. Honestly, you could say Adam Big Who, because the replacements filled in really nice for him in that second or in that linebacking core, and the Bombers did what they had to do, and give them full credit. They came out and they played a good football game.
Yeah, I really love mentioned Adam Big
and that defense. I was really impressed.
Go ahead, Trey.
No, sorry, I'm laggy. You go. You talk.
I was just gonna say, Adam mentioned Adam Bighill and him not being there. I love what Tony Jones has brought to that Bombers linebacking core ever since he signed with the team. Like, he is the future there. I think he's still a relatively young guy. He's performed well. Bighill's becoming less and less effective at later stages of his career. I think Jones is the guy, and he's made some big plays, and you've seen some guys step up. Like, Evan Holm was the player of the game for me on the defensive side this game. 4, 5, 6 knockdowns in that game, I believe, from him. You mentioned Sam Emilus. Like, he had 11 targets and 4 catches, I think, and one of them was that garbage time TVD. Otherwise, it was all garbage time. And yeah, once we got to the end of the game, like, you could tell the Riders were so frustrated that they threw the game plan out the window and just said, we're going to throw to Schaefer Baker on every single play, and we're just going to do that. And he had 12 catches on 17 targets, which I was just trying to find, and I'm wondering if that is in fact a CFL record or close to it for number of targets in a game. I know Ontario Wilson had 16 earlier this year and was in that conversation. So, KSB is the guy who seems to be the bomber killer on the Riders the last couple of years, and they're trying to feed him, but the Bombers kind of shut everything else down. Trey?
No, yeah, I agree. I was really impressed with that defense, probably more than I have been this year. Like you said, I really like Camdry too.
Cramdy, yeah.
Camdy. He's been really good. When I saw him go down, I was a little nervous. I'm glad he came back. The corners and the safeties looked great. Even the defensive line got in there. I felt like Thomas and Jefferson were making some pressure, even though it wasn't showing up on the stat sheet. I think they were there more than we've seen them, and a couple big knockdowns from them. And on the offensive side, Coleros did exactly what I asked him to do last week, Adam, not F it up, and he didn't do that. So, and they mixed it around enough, and like kind of Ryan mentioned, I was rewatching the broadcast, and they were saying, like, they kind of mentioned that too, like, why are you leaving Lawler open? And it's like, well, if you double team Lawler, Dembski's open, and if you team up Dembski, then Wheatfield's open, and if you do that, then everyone's on their back. If you put everyone back, then Oliveira could run for 10 yards every play, right? So it was kind of pick your poison at that point, and you just have to try to do the best is what you can do, and it was very interesting. Yeah, Adam, do you want your time to vent now about the Rough Riders?
Oh, there ain't much to vent on anymore. I've already done that about multiple times. But here's what I'll say. The secondary of the Riders, other than Roland Milligan, has been very susceptible to long balls all year. Amari Henderson is a guy that just continually gets burned pretty well at least once a game. This time he got burned 3 times in the game. Nelson Lacombo did not do a great job of reading plays. Again, Nick Dembski wide open the end zone. Where in the world was Nelson Lacombo going? I have yet to figure out. Maybe he's going for a hot pretzel. I have no idea. The pressure of the Riders, honestly, I thought they were better off going in 3-man front and just having 3 men run pressure on Zach Collaros. That way there, at least you're blocking everybody. Like, I honestly thought they were better that way than they were when they put 4, 5, 6-man blitzes out there, because they didn't do much. The offense, again, you can't go and start up in the second half and hope that you're going to win something. The highlight of the game for the Riders was Caden Korzak running a little bootleg and then deciding, you know what, I'm just going to run for it instead of going and kicking it. I think that was the best play of the whole game for the Riders. Otherwise, Corey Mace, again, he had some good play calls in the fourth quarter. I'll never question him on that 12 minutes left going for it in third and long in your end zone. I'm not going to question that one, because you know what? He must have felt that there was some momentum or something. So, okay, fair enough. You wanted to go for it at that point, because the score was pretty bad already. So, you know what? Overall, if you look at the whole year, the Riders should be, Rider Nation should be happy. They get back to the West Final. They played good until the West Final, essentially. They won some games after Labor Day. Coach Mace is up for Coach of the Year in about 20 minutes or 15 minutes here. And I think that overall the year's been a success. Your offensive line is better than it was. The quarterback situation is going to be very interesting next year, especially if Trevor Harris decides to ride off into the sunset. Not sure what's going to happen there yet. But overall, the Riders are in better shape than they were last year when going into off season. So good for that. Wasn't quite the way we wanted to end the season because you never want to lose to the Blue Bombers, but that's the way it is.
I still disagree on that third down in their own end, go for it on 3rd and 3 from your own 20-yard line. Like, the chances of that being successful and leading to you drive down the field to score in that moment are a lot less than the chances of you failing to convert and giving up points that are going to seal the game away. I think there's so much time left. It's the CFL. You're down, 2 scores at that point in the game, I think it was. Yes, it's probably going to put the Bombers in, around the 50-yard line, which is Sergio Castillo field goal range almost immediately. So I could see the argument there. But I don't know. I think there were other opportunities, and I think we've seen this a couple of times this year. And that's my knock on Corey Mace, but also recognizing that this is his first year as a head coach, and there are going to be growing pains, as there have been times this year where he's made those questionable coaching decisions that he's going to grow as he goes on throughout his career. Great player coach, just needs to lock in on the coaching mechanics, I think, a little bit. And that was one where it was like, as soon as they failed that and the Bombers got the ball and they put it in the end zone, it was like, this game's over. Like, there's no coming back from this point forward. And that kind of took the wind out of the sails. And like I said, just throwing to Schaefer Baker and nothing else after that seemed like the Riders just knew they gave up the game at that point, and we're kind of just riding this one out.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you didn't have a run game going on the whole night. I mean, Adrian Ouellette and Raquel Armstead could not get anything going on the offense. The defensive line of Winnipeg actually was fairly impressive that night. Even Willie Jefferson gets a few knockdowns in the game. So, like I said, it's just but in the end, you got to remember, it's one of those seasons that you were expected maybe to make the playoffs. And if you did, again, you had a new coach, you had a new team practically. So to be in the West Final and competing for a Grey Cup berth, it's a win in the Rider books, I would think. Now they need to do something with some other stuff, maybe with the president or something.
Yeah. Before I touch on my thoughts on that, it looks like in the simulation, right before half, we're in the third quarter now. At halftime, Hail Mary, pass interference in the end zone. That's what gave Winnipeg the field goal to make it 14-10. And they started, they had the ball here, and they just put it up to be 17-14 if they get the extra point. I don't believe they kicked it yet. Not yet. So
virtual Drew Wolitarski makes it back for this game.
Nice. 100%. So yeah, looking at 17-14, unless there's a squib kick here on the field goal. Let's see. Castillo's money from this. This is the American rules are closer. And money right down the middle. So a 3-point game in the simulation. I'm going to go against you, Ryan. I think it was the exact right choice to go on for it. Because, okay, how do I argue this without letting it be that I think home field advantage is a thing?
Just give in, Trey.
Yeah, I'll give in. It was what, a 3rd and 6? Something like that on your own side of the 55.
3rd and 3.
Oh, 3rd and 3, okay. 3rd and 3, but you're still on your own side. Time's dwindling. Man, you kick it. The way the Bombers were playing, even if they don't score, the deeper they are in their side of the field, they could chew more time, too. You can argue that. Either way, they could score a field goal or a touchdown and make it out. But then your argument is, hey, at least we have more time if we give them the ball at our 30 or whatever. And from the other side, what if they made it? What if they got third, big first down? You deflate that crowd a little bit. You give your team more momentum rolling. I don't think they ever really had a chance to win this game. It just seemed like from kickoff, Winnipeg wanted it a little more. But that was your potential time. There was a blocked field goal punt or a blocked punt too earlier in the game that they don't. I just feel like the Riders didn't capitalize on their key moments. That 3rd and 3 was the game, and Yeah, sure, rookie head coach, but hey, we talk sometimes maybe teams should go for it more on 2-point conversions because it's 50%.
Yep.
3rd and 3, I could see if I don't know. I'm curious what the stats are. Is 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2? What kind of stats is that? If it's around 50%, why not go for it? It's a coin flip. We've done stupider things with a coin flip on this show, so why not?
Actually, I did like that you brought up the again the opportunities for the Riders. They could have come back in this. Oops, sorry. They could have come back in this game if they really had capitalized on everything. They had a block punt earlier in the game. They had the Lucky Whitehead fumble there in the end, or almost in the 20-yard line. And overall, those two plays, plus let's say the Keyshawn Johnson drop in the first quarter, and who knows what could have happened possibly. But yeah, you know what? Opportunities come and go, and the Riders didn't capitalize. The Bombers did. I mean, they were wide open on most of their opportunities, and they caught the ball and took it in. So, long story short, the Bombers scored more points than the Riders. That's why they win. Yeah.
Yeah, that is how it works.
Yes, it is. Wow. Anybody believe this for team stats for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for our virtual Grey Cup that Brady Oliveira is going to have negative 17 yards in the fourth quarter?
Crazy game here. Crazy game. Looks like Toronto's pressing here. Ooh, big stop there. Right, yeah, as we're speaking to the awards, I believe are kicking off on CFL Plus. So if we see if we get who the winners are, we'll give you some live reaction to that as well. Are we all set for last week here? And we want to get into this week? Okay, good stuff. So yeah, the Toronto Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Winnipeg 5 in a row. But Toronto's won 8 straight Grey Cup appearances? Is that what it was?
They've beaten the Bombers every time they've played in the Grey Cup, and I think that is 8 times now.
Oh, okay, maybe that's the 8 I'm thinking of. Okay, yeah. Still pretty impressive. In BC, Sunday afternoon. I think it's at 5 Central, but I think that means kickoff is probably at 5:30. Here's my little graphic. You know what? That's covering Adam's face. We'll get rid of that. Early thoughts on this game. We got a backup quarterback on one side, like we said, the parallels to what happened to Winnipeg several years ago, and then you got I don't like calling it a dynasty, but you got the recently successful Winnipeg coming into it for one more time. Ryan, any early thoughts on either side of this game, or where do you want to take this?
Yeah, I think the biggest thought is going to be it has to center around the quarterback situation and Nick Arbuckle getting the start for the Argos. And you look at that, and you look at the betting lines, which we're going to get into yet, and it's crazy how big the odds are in this Grey Cup game, where we've seen it go into double-digit favorites for the Bombers, and that is because of the quarterback situation. And Nick Arbuckle is a veteran. He, like we said earlier, he does have experience in the CFL, and it's a one-game situation. Could he come out and lead this team to a win? There is a potential situation for that. But almost everything I've seen from Nick Arbuckle over the last couple of years of football, of his time in Toronto and Ottawa and back and forth between the clubs, and going from first on the depth chart in Ottawa to suddenly fourth on the depth chart in Ottawa, it's not a lot of confidence-inducing stuff. So my initial thought coming into this week, immediately following last weekend's games, was this is Winnipeg's game to win. And now all of the pressure is on them. All of the pressure was already on them after the last 2 Grey Cup failures. And it's a question of, can this team right the ship and go back to the team that won 2 straight? Or are we going to say the same team that lost 2 straight? And it's really on the Bombers to me. Adam, your initial thoughts?
Yeah, again, you're right. It's on the quarterbacks this time here. But again, when I remember that 07 Grey Cup, it was James Johnson getting a pile of interceptions for the Rough Riders. Otherwise, the Bombers were the better team that day. It could be the same thing this week as well. I think the Bombers are the better team than the Argonauts, especially right now in the quarterback position. That being said, I think as I just see XFL Mike puts a question out here, I'll answer to that right away on my side, and I'll let you guys answer. But I think that really, again, either team could win this one. It's going to come down to game planning. It's going to come down to what the coaches do. And I think if the Argonauts have a good enough game plan and can maintain and spare up the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense and make sure that they're not getting into cause Nick Arbuckle a lot of issues, they could possibly win this one. It's not impossible. XFL Mike goes and says, forgive my rookie question, or if it's been asked or answered, has a backup ever been in this situation going into the Grey Cup before? And what was the outcome? Well, yes, this has happened. We're talking about it right now. In the 2007 Grey Cup, Toronto was playing, or Winnipeg was playing Toronto, and I believe it was Kevin Iben. Or did I say that wrong?
Anyways, it was the East Final, Winnipeg in Toronto, because Winnipeg used to be part of the East Division at that time. I believe, yes, Kevin Iben, linebacker for the Argos, broke the arm of Kevin Glenn, the quarterback of the Bombers, after a hit there. And the current Argos head coach, Ryan Dinwiddie, did end up starting that, was the backup quarterback for the Bombers, started that Grey Cup game, threw a couple of costly picks, and lost the Grey Cup to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So it is about as similar as a situation to this as you could possibly get.
So just think about this, XFL Mike, two Prairie teams, and again, a huge rivalry, and then the one backup quarterback was in. As a Rider fan, we were celebrating the whole time when we were beating BC over on the other side of the in the West Final. We were celebrating that we won Grey Cup already. Yeah, we almost cost us, but you know what? Andy Fantuz had a big first down or touchdown just before the half hit. And yeah, that was the big difference in that game, essentially, because it was a low-scoring affair and 3 interceptions by a guy named James Johnson. Essentially sealed it for the Rough Riders. That was the year Kerry Joseph, I believe, won the Player of the Year for the Riders. So it's kind of a cool little situation, but yeah, that's past, and now we're dealing with 2024 and kind of dealing with the same situation, except for the quarterback that was in that game is now sitting on the bench trying to guide that other quarterback through what he's seen in a Grey Cup. So.
Yeah, a little traumatizing for young Trey, about 14, however many years ago that was. 17.
It was such a great day, such a beautiful day.
I think that might be the first Grey Cup game I remember, actually. Like, I feel like 06, 07 was around when my fandom actually started and I started being interested. Maybe I remember, was it like 02, 03, Edmonton, Montreal around then, I feel like.
03.
Did they go to overtime in that game?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
It was in Saskatchewan. Danny Machocha was celebrating, crying because he didn't know what was going on.
Right. Yeah.
Hate to break in. I'll break in here for a second. The simulations, Winnipeg gets the go-ahead field goal with 1 minute and 2 seconds left here in the finals. So 2017 for the Bombers right now. So we'll see how this wraps up. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting, but yeah, that was one of my first Grey Cups I remember. And then after that, the 09 one is probably my next more early memory one. I probably remember that one a little bit more because I suppressed the 07 one. But oh,
don't worry, I suppressed that one you're referring to right now.
Adam doesn't even know what you're talking about.
I have no clue.
Yeah, he thought 09 was another canceled season. So why was 2020 such a big deal? Yeah, pretty much. So. Very interesting game. We got the backup here against Caleros, the wily vet. Man, I do have to say I've actually, other than that one, or he had a couple stinkers of a game. He had that one against Toronto and then the one against Montreal. They were kind of stinkers. But other than that, he's been okay lately. And I hate to see him. He's actually running the ball okay. Like when he had that big wide open run last week, that was like that Peyton Manning one from years ago. Nobody knew where he was going, and then he just trots for the first down out of bounds. So Caleros, I think that will be a very interesting quarterback matchup. But of course, we all know Oliveira. Do we think who do we think's who's going to win the running back matchup this week? Oliveira, or do you think Kadeem Carey might have a little bit better of an offensive line in front of him?
I'll let
Adam?
you go first, Adam.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brady Oliveira. I mean, he's he's the MOP nominee for a reason. I'm not sure he's might be getting even won it right now. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, he's the MOP nominee for a reason. He's got a good offensive line, a very experienced offensive line in front of him with guys like Stanley Bryant and Patrick Neufeld as a center and all those. I think they show probably the best out of anybody here. And again, Brady Oliveira, when he gets running and he starts pounding the helmets and everything else, he is one running back that's a very hard guy to take down. I wouldn't even be surprised if you see what they did against the Riders again. If you see them go and probably bring in Nick Dembski for some special runs and jet sweeps and everything out to make the life of Brady Oliveira and the offensive line a little bit easier, just because I think that helped them a lot versus the Rough Riders, who, again, traditionally don't give up a lot of yards in the run. Ryan, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, going back to it, first of all, what you were saying about Zach Collaros there, Trey, I agree. He's been a lot better lately, and it's still not coming in the form of touchdown passes. I guess this week it did, right? So he's had, 3 games this year with multiple touchdown passes, but more often than not, it's not. But 2 interceptions only in his last 7 games combined for Zach Collaros. He's really honed it in, the turnover ratio, and he's playing that safer game now, and they're leaning on the run game, and that's causing the offense to be a whole lot better than it was earlier on in the season, for sure. And so Brady Oliveira, tough matchup last week with the Riders for one. I guess before I go in there, the Bombers are lifting the trophy in the simulation.
Yeah.
What's the final score?
It's amazing. I never expected virtual Zach Collaros to dye his hair blonde.
Yeah, it was 2017. The Argos ran out of time. Nick Arbuckle forgot that this was U.S. rules, and you don't get that last play at the 0 mark. So he ran out of time there to get the game-tying field goal. It was a big sack on 3rd down that pushed the Argos out of field goal range. So very, very good games. Yeah, we have it 2017. I do think it'll be a little bit more high-scoring than that. Look at that beautiful picture there.
Ugh.
Nice, love it. National championship. So I'm going to exit out of this so that my computer might actually stop spazzing out on me here. There we go. So yeah, the official simulation 2017. Very interesting there. Thank you for switching that up for me, Ryan.
No problem. And going back to the debate on Kadeem Carey versus Brady Oliveira in this game, I think I lean Carey. Like Oliveira did great in a tough matchup against the Riders last week. It's almost an even tougher or equally as tough matchup against the Argos this week. And I lean towards Kadeem Carey because if Kadeem Carey doesn't lead this game in rushing, I think the Argos are potentially in a world of hurt because trying to, the Bombers lock it down big time in the passing game. They locked down, they've got that shutdown defense going. I think Arbuckle could potentially struggle in that passing game against them. And they're a little more susceptible to the run. They allow more than 100 rushing yards a game, the Bombers do. So I think Kadeem Carey, they're going to have to leverage him a lot in this game. So I would lean towards him being the more effective running back.
No, I agree. And I don't feel like the Bombers utilize Oliveira as much as they could or should. But, they have a lot of talents there. Next kind of talking point, we'll go through some of these quick. Is this maybe one of the more talented receiving cores on both sides? Maybe we've seen in the finals. Like, this is crazy. Like, the Bombers, you think Lawler, Dembski, who's going to stop them? But then on the other side, we were talking about Polk and his 5 of last 7 being over 100 yards. Coxey. Is there even a better receiving core, Adam?
Well, I'll talk about the Argonauts defense, our receivers in this one here. And Ryan, I'll let you talk about the Winnipeg receivers. But the Argos do have a good receiving core. And I mean, it's kind of a shame that Chad Kelly isn't playing in this game just because of that, because he could get the ball out. And again, lots and lots of seeming like chemistry with Makai Polk, who, again, we've said earlier was 5 of 7 games that he caught over 100 yards. Just massive stats for the rookie receiver. And again, you still have some of those veterans. DeMonte Coxey came back for the East Final. looked good out there. He didn't look like he missed a beat. Tavares Daniels, he's been a very good receiver for the Argonauts for a long time. Looked just as good as anybody else. And they also have depth when they need it. I mean, David Unger hasn't had a big game, but you know what? Neither did Tyson Philpo until, the Grey Cup last year. Then all of a sudden he looked great. So that could be maybe a guy that's a sleeper in the weight for the Toronto Argonauts as well. So lots of talent on the Argonauts side for the receiving core, but I think just as much talent probably on the Winnipeg side, right, Brian?
Yeah, I the Argos have a lot of good depth there for sure. Yeah, and none of them for the last couple of years truly stood out over the others until I think Polk this year. It was the big one for me. That's the rising star. But then again, Coxie was last year and maybe took a bit of the step back this year. So maybe next year it's somebody else. But on the Bombers side, early on this year, remember the Josh Johnson era early in this season of the Bombers receiving core, where we were down without Dalton Schoen, Kenny Lawler was out, Drew Wolotarski was out, and we're looking at, I think, Nick Dembski said something like it. He looked around the locker room and was like, I don't know any of you in that receiving core because they got beat so badly early on. Dembski stepped up. He's had a great season when he needed to. Kenny Lawler has come back and looked really good in some games, including this past weekend. He's making those big plays when he needs to. Ontario Wilson has been a great find at receiver for the Bombers this year as well. I'm really excited with what they've seen from him. Even Kevin Sklercius, I would put in the category of like that serviceable Canadian receiver role that Drew filling in nicely for Drew Wolotarski, who's been out due to injury. I did see talk of potentially like Dalton Schoen practicing this week, which I feel like was a story we had last year as well, didn't he? Didn't he play in the Grey Cup after missing a bunch of time last year and was kind of just a decoy and didn't really do anything? So personally, even if he is ready to practice, I think this receiving core has been gelling a lot more lately with the guys they have there. And I would say that they should keep him out if he's not 100% and able to contribute because he didn't do much last year. But I'm very high on the receiving core, and I do agree with you that these are two great groups going head-to-head here, Trey.
No, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think Schoen would be beneficial this week when you got Whitehead and a couple of those other guys. I'm going to put it on blast here. Armin says Saskatchewan versus Argos would be a better final. Interesting. Maybe Adam would think so, but I don't think anyone else thinks so. That's an interesting topic. I actually think Saskatchewan, I was high on them. I'll admit that, but they were way less exciting than I was hoping for. And so I don't know if that would actually be. It might be a better final for the other 8 cities that are getting sick of Winnipeg. I can respect that 100%. But if you want a neutral opinion, I think Winnipeg, Toronto might be the 2 more exciting teams now, since Montreal's kind of been a little quieter as of late.
I think you get that Corey Mays versus the Argos, all the guys he brought over versus the Argos. People are sick of the Bombers being in the Grey Cup and the same storylines over and over. And I get that, but I think it also does bring some juicy storylines where, even 2 good, 2 bad Grey Cups. What version are we going to get this year from the Bombers? Zach Collaros, can he finally deliver? Up until this past game, I think his last touchdown pass in the playoffs was the 2022 West Final or something like that. He went 4 straight playoff games without a touchdown pass. There's a lot of good storylines here still in this finals, even if it is the same team for 5 straight years. But I totally understand people that are a little bit fatigued on it, just as we all are with the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. We're running out of time here because we have a couple other things we're going to go over. So real quick, you know what? The defenses, I'll take this one. I think they're pretty even. I think both sides could pull up big plays. I maybe give a little edge to the Argos, but I was quite impressed with what the Winnipeg defense did last Saturday. And special teams, my TV might get smashed if Janarian Grant runs one back for a touchdown. That's all I got.
It's going to happen. It's
going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Thank God I own like 5 TVs in this house because one's getting smashed on Sunday. So, and other than that, I still feel Whitehead. He didn't look so good on Saturday, I'll admit that, but he did enough when he caught it. So, but on the kicking side, we got some great kickers. As long as the Bomber punter doesn't do that weird spinny thingy that makes him kick it only 20 yards. So yeah, that's that. Anything else you guys want to add on the game part real quick?
Adam?
Not really. I mean, the Argos did a good job of getting pressure on Fajardo, so I mean, I think they'll do it again. One of that big additions was I think Jordan Williams joining the roster on the defensive line again, so I think that really helped him. And then special teams, yeah, I'm sorry, but you're going to be smashing the TV because Janarian Grant looked really good and is about to probably break one at any time, and why not make it against this former team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who were too cheap to sign him, essentially. Kicking, you're right. It's the same thing. I think Sergio Castillo's maybe the longer kicker. I think maybe Liram Hairolahu is one of the better kickers. I actually like Hairolahu more than I do Castillo, because Castillo all of a sudden he'll kick like a 58-yarder and then miss a 30.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Paul McCallum in a way. Except for Winnipeg fans don't know where he lives to put manure on his lawn. Nevertheless, that happened too in the CFL for those that are American fans.
I know a guy.
Anyways, no matter which way it goes, like I said, I think this is going to be pretty evenly on the defense. The special teams, like I said, I'll give the edge to the Argonauts. We didn't talk about coaching in this one here, maybe very much. Of course, both of these are veteran coaches, Dinwiddie and Mike O'Shea. I'd probably go with the edge to O'Shea, as long as he can learn not to swear 3 times a second on live television. Seriously, Mike.
Keep the language.
There's children
Who cares?
Somebody please think of the children.
Man? Who cares?
I'm sure somebody at TSN
do people actually... Well, I mean... If it's live TV, there's no way you can get fined for that.
Honestly, he should have.
From the FCC or whatever? No, I mean, like...
you should have got a fine from the CFL. You can't be doing that when you're on live.
Who cares?
You can't be just swearing out a ref. Come on.
They all do it. Just some of them get it picked up. Let's be real.
You probably throw more
That was a little extreme how he was doing that one.
I don't want to hear. I'm going to come to one of your Buffs games.
About a game. Punishment.
I better hear nothing out of you if I come to a Buffs game, man. Nothing. One swear. I'm like,
I'm a good going guy. I don't go and swear at a ref. I might make fun of him a few times, but I won't swear at him.
No, see, I don't know, man. I curse like a trucker, so I really don't care. Like, I mean, maybe that's my thing. It's on TV. It's sports. O'Shea. The last thing O'Shea is thinking about is he's mic'd up. That's the last thing he cares about.
I get it, but
that's probably how they talk, because he was talking about how some penalty was given to Toronto or something, right? Or he said something about effing Toronto. That's probably how they talk all the time. But yeah, Adam.
I'm just going to break in and just break some news here. The first award in the CFL awards has been given out, and congratulations to the Toronto Argonauts, Ryan Hunter, Offensive Lineman of the Year, beating out Logan Furland of the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And that brings me into, and we were talking about the defense and the special teams, this game is going to be won in the trenches. And if you look at the previous 2 games this year, where the Argos did win both of them against the Bombers, it was won in the trenches. The Bombers' offensive line had no plans for no way to stop the Argos' defensive pass rush the last time they played. And the 2 games these teams played were ugly, low-scoring football games where, the Bombers kind of beat themselves in both of those. One went to overtime, another was like a 14-11 score or something like that, where they were the better football team, but they turned the ball over at costly times. They missed costly field goals in those. So I think it's going to come down to the trenches for sure. I think, Argos have a great pass rush. The Bombers, they managed to hold the Riders defense at bay last week and open up some holes for Brady Oliveira. Can they do the same thing? Keep the pressure off of Zach Collaros in this one. And then on the other side of things as well, I think the big piece that we don't talk enough about from the Argos from the past couple of years is how good that offensive line is. And that's a big reason why Chad Kelly has been as effective as he has been with the Argos, I think, is because of that offensive line play. And that Ryan Hunter, who just won Offensive Lineman of the Year, is a big piece of that and is a testament to how good that unit is. So you want to talk keys of the game? That's it for me, is which team wins the battle in the trenches. Because even though I think it's, the Bombers should win this game, if Toronto can get Zach Collaros off his game early with some pressure on the quarterback, I think that changes things wide open. And then, special teams, Janarian Grant. I think I saw a stat this week, 4 touchdowns in 10 career playoff games or something like that for Grant. That's 40%. Not bad at all. So definitely could swing for the field position in the way of Toronto, and good field position and moving the ball just a little bit might be enough for them to get the points they need. So don't count them out this week for sure.
Nope, for sure. I agree with that, with the offensive line. Anything else you want to add, Adam?
I was wondering at the CFL awards, I hope the Grey Cup Fun Police at least went and put their uniforms back on. That was disturbing yesterday with the bathrobes.
I did see that.
Awesome. Moving on. We kind of actually touched. I had noted favorite Grey Cup moments. We've already kind of talked about that, so we'll skip over that because we don't need to talk 10 more minutes about the 09 Grey Cup, or I don't need to hear Adam talk about the 07 one. Favorite Jonas Brothers songs, halftime. Probably the main reason we all watch these games. The Joe Bros. Anyone have some favorite songs that they're hoping to hear?
I mean, I've got their CD in my car. No, I don't.
You have it on the tractor on repeat. I know you do.
Absolutely no. What song do they even sing? I don't even know one of their songs. If I heard it, I probably would recognize it, but that's about it.
The year 3000. Oh, we're going to get kicked off of YouTube. Sorry.
I don't think we're going to get kicked off for your imitation.
Some bangers. They got Love Bug.
I'm not good at naming specific songs, but I gotta say, this might be the most hyped I've been for a Grey Cup halftime show in a number of years. The Jonas Brothers are great. As somebody who grew up, in that era of the peak Jonas Brothers, I'm a fan. I'm excited to hear what they've got coming up this weekend.
This was peak Disney when we were growing up, Ryan. And stuff, Jonas Brothers, Camp Rock, whatever else. They had their own show for a little bit. Yeah, this was it. No, I'm excited for Burning Up in the year 3000. They got some bangers, and when they went solo, Nick himself had some good songs. So I wonder if they'll sprinkle some of those in. Definitely a great halftime show. It was interesting. I can never remember the names. I'm not trying to take someone's thing, but it was one of those CFL chats on Facebook where they commented and they said, why the Jonas Brothers? That doesn't sound very like football. And I'm like, that's the point.
That's the point.
That's the point. Yeah. So I think this was a great one, and it looks like BC is doing a great job. We'll move on because we're going to have a little Grey Cup fantasy draft. Very excited about this. So, the three of us, we're going to each draft 4 players, no position restrictions. So it'll be quarterback, running back, receiver, defense, and kicker. You can have 4 of anything you want. We're going to do snake drafts, and to determine the snake draft, we got our little duckies here. I'm so excited for the duckies. And so
before we do that CFL awards update, let's give Adam a chance to celebrate at least something here this week. Your guy Roland Milligan won Defensive Player of the Year. He's not MOP worthy apparently, but at least he gets some hardware.
Can I quickly talk about that for 2 seconds?
Yeah, go for it.
Can we go and make this award show right? Instead of having MOP and MODP, can we have the most outstanding offensive player, the most outstanding defensive player, and then decide who the most outstanding player is out of those 2? I mean, otherwise, that's just the MOP is an offensive award. you may as well admit it. Like, if you're going to do it right, like I say, choose your most offense or most.
Your most offensive player. F-bombs
offensive
galore.
defensive player, I was about to say. Your most outstanding defensive player, your most outstanding offensive player, and then go and decide between those two who actually is the most outstanding player in the CFL. Because the way it's written up right now, it's always offensive players, and most times it probably is. But this year here, I think it was really you could really justify a reason for a guy like Roland Mulligan to win the most outstanding player. I think he was the most outstanding player in the league. But again, it's mostly to award to the offensive player, it seems. So kind of sucks the wording, but I'll take a most outstanding defensive player being on the Rough Riders. That's kind of cool. I one more award.
I think it's always going to be, that's never going to change. I think it's always going to be favored towards the offense, because when you think of football, you think of the goal of scoring more points than your opponent, you think of offense. Like, the main thought when it goes to football is on the offensive side. A lot of times when we talk about games, are we talking about key things on the defense? No, we're talking about the quarterback. We're talking about the receivers, the running back. Those are our first topics every single time. It's a very offensive-focused sport. And I don't think that's going to change. So it sucks for these defensive players who, are well deserving if you're, analytical and you really dig into it. But for most people, they're probably going to say, see the quarterback, see the running back, and say, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know, Trey, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to come off as insensitive, because I'm not saying Mulligan wasn't a great player, but you take out, well, you know what I mean? Like, you take out Oliveira, you take out even Bo Levi, you take out Chad Kelly, or you take out, Caleros. That affects the team, I think, a lot more than if you take out a DB. Now, they can affect the game. And again, that essentially leans towards it being an offensive award. It's the same thing in the NFL. MVP, most valuable player. Well, your most valuable player better be your quarterback, or you have a crap team, right? Like, and same here. If your most outstanding player on your team isn't your quarterback or your running back or like receiver, what kind of team do you have? That's the way I look at the wording. Yes, I agree he had a great year. I think it's going to have to take something like a record-breaking year, like most sacks ever, most picks ever, something crazy like that for a defensive player to get the nod, which is unfortunate, but that's probably also why they have the most outstanding defensive player, because that's more or less all they're going to win. Right? So it is what it is. But yeah, congratulations going around there. You can have a little parade for that one, Adam, this week.
Absolutely, we will. And he was, just in case anybody's wondering, he was running against Tyrese Beverett in the East Division. 35 of 36 votes went to Mulligan Jr.
Good stuff. Now we're going to get going here on our duck race to determine our draft pick. And this is your draft pick. We're not doing this crap like we do in the other fantasy. Your duck wins. You get number one. I don't want to hear it. I don't care, Ryan. You know what? You what? You're muted. There we go. You're muted for a bit. You're on timeout.
You just made the list.
I'll put you backstage. Don't tempt me. But here we go. There we go. Ducky Adam gets the win, so he gets the first overall pick. Ryan was second. I was third. So we're going to snake draft it, which means I get the first pick in the second round. Let me just type this all out so we're not. Adam, you're on the clock officially, buddy. Make a big pick here.
So just to make sure I know the rules here, I've got to pick a quarterback, or
you can pick anything. You can four players of position.
Okay, because we always do it the way we always do it then in football, like fantasy. Usually, I am going to take the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense first, as crazy as that sounds, because I think they're going to get me a pile of points this week if they're going to go and get pressure on onto a young, not a young, but a quarterback that hasn't played all year. I think I'm going to go for that. So, yeah, give me the Blue Bombers defense.
Like it, Ryan?
Well, in true classic fashion, I can never predict what Adam's going to do in a fantasy draft, and it throws all of my plans out the window that I just formulated 2 seconds ago. This is just like when Adam picks both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the first 3 rounds of an NFL
what
draft.
A guy.
It seems to be a winning strategy, though, in the CFL fantasy drafts.
I guess. I guess I'm up next on the clock here. Yeah, there's a lot of different directions I could go on this one. Obviously, because we're early on in the draft. Give me Nick Dembski on this one for the Bombers, because I think that we saw him used in a number of different ways last week. That was the most effective I feel like we've seen him used in the run game in a long time. He's really used in the receiving game. And I think all of the game film that Argos defense is watching throughout this week is all of the times Kenny Lawler was open. And that's why I'm going with Nick Dembski instead, because I think there's going to be a pressure to shut down one Kenny Lawler. So I'll take Dembski to arise to the occasion in the Grey Cup.
And I'm with me in the last pick of the first round. I'm going to stick with the Bombers. Going to go with the boot. Give me Sergio Castillo. Maybe he'll pick me up some big fantasy points. I think that there'll be some drives that stall out. There you go. My internet wants to cut out at the worst times. There you go. My back. Am I good?
I think so.
Oh, okay. A little delay. So, yeah, you heard me. Sergio Castillo is my first pick there for first round. Going into the second round, I'm going to stick with the Bombers. Give me Brady Oliveira. I don't know how to spell Oliveira, apparently. Anyway. Ryan, your second pick, man.
Ooh, yeah, Brady Oliveira probably would have been my next pick there. Where do I want to go now?
Does it say anything that we're all picking Winnipeg early here?
I mean, is there a lot of faith in Nick Arbuckle at quarterback? No, not a ton.
Unfortunately not.
I'm going to take the quarterback here. I'm going with Zach Collaros. I called my shot last week that he was going to explode in the playoffs beyond what we're used to from him. I just think based on how good the run defense is for the Argos that they are going to need Collaros to sling it the way he did this last week, and if the Bombers are going to win the game. So I'll pair him with Nick Dembski and take the quarterback in this one. Adam, you're up next.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, again, if you don't trust the quarterback, you better take the running back because he's probably going to be very, very, very busy in this game. I'm going to take Kadeem Carey. I think he's going to have a big game if the Argonauts have any hope in this of winning the 107th Grey Cup, I believe. So it's going to be interesting, but I'll take Kadeem Carey. And with my other pick that I have, because we go back in the reverse, I will take the guy that absolutely went and stabbed the hearts of 1.1 million Rider fans in Saskatchewan last week. Yeah, I'm taking Kenny Lawler. I think he's got to have a huge game as well if this is going to go anywhere for the Bombers. Again, they got, I think, multiple options, where Toronto maybe is a little bit more limited in options, but I think Lawler's going to have another big game.
Darn, I was hoping he was going to make it back to me. That was going to be my pick there. one Kenny Lawler. Let's see. I've got Nick Dembski. I've got Zach Collaros. I don't think he's going to throw for that many yards where I necessarily want to go for another Bomber receiver here. So we talked about it multiple times. 5 games over 100 yards in his last 7. I'm going to take the chance that Arbuckle finds a bit of spark here. Give me Mackay Polk as my favorite Bombers receiver here. You might want to put him under my name, not yours, Trey.
Was doing so good. Mackay Polk? Yeah, perfect. I like that. He was definitely high on mine, but I think I'm gonna go a little crazy because if anyone watches this show, they know I'm the crazy one. We're gonna stick it off with Janarian Grant because I saw him some use in the receiving core last week, and I wonder if they'll do that again. And then my 4th round pick, give me Nick Arbuckle.
Ooh, nice.
Because I think that the Bombers bend not break defense. He might throw a pick or 2. He might fumble it, but he also might still throw for 350 yards and get 2 touchdowns somehow. And that's kind of the way I'm leaning. Ryan, your last pick here.
Yeah, I could go with another receiver here. Do I go with the Argos defense? And based off of how low scoring these games have been, do I go with one Liram Haralahu? Those are the 3 options I'm choosing between here. I'm going to go with the maximum point potential, though, I think, in this one, and I will take Ontario Wilson because I hyped him up so much earlier. So I will, with my 4th round pick, take the Bombers rookie receiver that had, I think, over 1,000 yards this season. Adam, close it out.
Well, gee, I sure wanted to take Janarian Grant, and I don't know if I really want to take Lucky Whitehead. Although, you know what, he did break one up against Montreal and just about got in for a touchdown. That would have been fun to watch. Devontae Coxey would have been a great one to have on my roster as well. Although, again, I don't think there'll be much throwing out of Toronto this game. I'm going to go with that Toronto is going to end up getting field position by the run game, and probably it's going to be the old traditional Richie Hall Memorial defense out there for the Bombers, bend but not break. So that means that Liram Haialahu will get a lot of field goal chances. So give me him for the last one. I know it's not really a great one, and I should have had it for highest point potential. I should have a quarterback, but there ain't no other quarterbacks that I could have took unless I'm going to go with something like Cameron Dukes and hope that Arbuckle gets yanked.
Well, I mean, Terry Wilson is occasionally worth like a 40-yard run on a 2nd down, 2nd and 1, right, Adam?
Well, fair. And the other option, yeah, thanks. Anyways, that or maybe Terry Wilson actually runs a few in for touchdowns on short set, like 1st and goals. I haven't seen him do that very much, though. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Liram Haialahu just because, yeah, Terry Wilson, you suck for that 40-yard run.
Good. That's going to be.
And that was also the funny part was that was the defensive player of the year that did that. Let Terry Wilson get a bad angle on him.
Yeah. So that concludes our 4-round draft. Adam, you took the Winnipeg D, Kadeem Carey, Kenny Lawler, and Liram Haialahu. Ryan, you took Nick Dembski, Zach Collaros, Mackay Polk, and Ontario Wilson, or I took Sergio Castillo, Brady Oliveira, Janarian Grant, and Nick Arbuckle. So that is that.
We've got another awards show update.
Oh.
The Jake Gooder Veterans Award winner is Jorgen Huss of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I believe.
Jorgen Huss,
sorry. And Trey's 3rd round draft pick, Janarian Grant, won the most outstanding special teams player award, which is a pretty understandable pick based on the season he's had. He's been phenomenal.
I forgot to tell you, it was plus 20 points for each player that wins an award.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because Oliver's with an MOP, and now I got Janarian Grant, so I'm looking good.
Oh, I should have picked Bo Levi Mitchell with my last pick.
Bo Levi wins the Player of the Year. I mean, it's going to be just epic what Winnipeg fans will be like for the next 3 days.
The rest of this fantasy draft is under protest.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a good thing.
Just so you know, also, because I've been mentioning them all for the rest of them, Sean White was the West nominee for the BC Lions for Special Teams Player of the Year, and 45 of 56 votes went to Janarian Grant.
Nice. And that he's going to be well, now I'm not going to smash a TV because at least I can beat you guys in fantasy if he gets a touchdown. So that'll be fine.
You're beating me. I mean, I got no chance here. So I've got quarterback. I mean, I'm not winning.
I mean, have you seen the 2 games these teams have played this year?
Yeah.
It was a 14-11 final score.
And thus why my first overall pick was a defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart play. I was thinking about the defensive play too, but you beat me to that, and I didn't want the Toronto one.
I liked how our Ducks summarized the CFL fantasy draft of our own.
Yeah.
Ryan was pulling ahead, and then all of a sudden I come from behind. Right.
Why did you choose violence tonight, Adam?
Anyway.
My team lost. I'm going down with everybody.
Do we want to do betting picks, or do you guys need to get sent to bed? Like, what are we going to do here?
I'm good. I'm having fun. I just get to sit here in the co-host chair. How often do I get to do this? This is great.
I'm just sitting here trash talking whoever wants to trash talk.
I'm having a blast. What's next, Trey?
Tons of betting picks. I've decided I found about every betting pick available on CoolBet for this Grey Cup. Plus,
this will be good.
Yeah, pretty much all of them. So we're gonna have to go through here. We don't need to go into them too much because I got like 30 different bets here, but just some thoughts. Like kick it off with Zach. With the passing, Zach Collaros is over under 1.5 passing touchdowns. My gut tells me under. What do you guys think about that one?
I'd like to argue you, but I don't know. This game here is like if it's anything like the regular season, this isn't going to be pretty. So yeah, I'll go with the over, but I mean, hesitantly go with the over.
Yeah, my gut says that we should probably take the under on this one, but you know what? Playoffs are weird. So take the over. Like I said, I don't know. I think they'll try to shut down the run game, so I think there is potential if the Bombers are going to win that Collaros does throw a couple TVs in this one.
No, I could see it. I can see it. It just there's a gut feeling where they're going to get close, and then it's going to go to Wilson or Oliveira like they've done for 90% of the year. Another one, Zach Collaros over under 0.5 interceptions. I'm going to hit the over hard on that one. He's been too good lately. And I don't know if sometimes the sites are weird. You can't parlay certain things. We'll get to it. Nick Arbuckle over under 0.5 interceptions. I would parlay the over on both of those easily to maybe make some money. Ryan, what do you think about Zach Collaros? Do you think he's going to keep playing kind of good like he did last week?
2 in his last 7 games only is pretty good, but also, you know, he has not performed great in Grey Cups. So I think there's potential for a pick here for sure. So I would take the over on this one. The Argos are going to have to make defensive plays like that. Adam?
Can't argue that. It is, for me, it's the over as well.
And then last, certainly not least, for Zach Collaros, over under 262.5 passing yards. I'm going to hit the under on this one again. I think they're going to rely on Oliveira maybe a little bit more than they have. I wonder if that's like the grand scheme of things. Like we saw the injury report today for the Bombers. There was like 30 people on it again. So I wonder maybe this is like the Buck Pierce, Mike O'Shea misdirection. Oh, we have the best running back in the league, but we're not going to use him in the West Finals. And then they're going to hit him hard in the Grey Cup. I think that's the way it's going to go. So I'm going to go under on that one. Adam?
Yeah, I think so too. I think that Zach Collaros has won Grey Cups with under 200 passing yards before. And by the way these two defenses are, think he's going to do it again, probably. So, yeah, give me the under.
Speaking of defenses, Nick Anderson just won most outstanding rookie defensive or linebacker for the Edmonton Elks. I think set a tackle record for rookies or something close to that. So, we've talked about all of these young receivers out east, Polk, Bridges, and Pimpleton, etc. But here's a case where a defensive player is getting a well-deserved nod for a fantastic season. I'm going to go under on Zach Collaros here as well on the passing yard. Just too often this year as he hit under on that total that I think it's realistic in this game.
I was amazed. I thought that was going to be a shoo-in probably for Shamar Bridges, who was running against Nick Anderson. But, yeah, Anderson just kind of walked away with it at the end of the season. So.
No, I like it. Now we're going to go on to the other center here, Nick Arbuckle. Over under, he's got 1.5 passing touchdowns as well. I'm gonna go with the over. Take a shock here, a little risk it play. Like I said, watch this Bombers bend and not break defense. Just give up like I said, they'll get a pick 6 one play, and then they'll give up a 50-yard bomb to Nick Arbuckle the next drive. Right? That's kind of the way I think this defense is gonna go. Adam,
I'm gonna go with the under. Honestly, I just don't see much coming out of Nick Arbuckle this week. And hopefully he makes me eat my words. But at the moment, no, I'm going to say the under.
Right. Last year, Cody Fajardo made me eat my words where I thought there was no way he was going to be the key factor, and he played his best game of the season. That being said, there's no way in the world I'm taking the over on this one. Give me the under on Arbuckle passing touchdowns. The Bombers just don't give up much through the air already to begin with.
No, I can see that. Again, I'm kind of risking it here. Nick Arbuckle over under 255.5 passing. I don't know why passing TDs written in there. Passing yards.
I would firmly take the under.
No debate.
Could you imagine? Nick Arbuckle. I'm actually going to go over 255.5 again. I just don't have any faith in this Bombers defense. There was that weird game against Edmonton, right, where they kept them scoreless for a long time, but I felt like we gave up so many yards to them.
Trey, do we have to do a randomized drug test on you right at the moment?
I would never pass one. What the heck? Those aren't legal. Wait, what did I say? Under? Yeah, Trey said under. So I'm assuming you guys are both taking. No, I took the over. And I'm assuming
we're taking the under.
I'm taking the under here as well.
Yeah, there we go. Don't talk while I'm typing at him, okay? And then last, certainly not least for passing, we're going to go with Nick Arbuckle over under 0.5 interceptions. I already said earlier I would take the over on that. What do you think?
Yeah, over. Agreed.
Ryan?
Over.
Both of us. Yeah. I mean, yeah, one interception. Book Tyrell Ford in for an interception.
Yeah. Probably, I'd almost say it'd probably be more of a challenge.
I wish there was more in depth like that. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, probably you would have a better bet saying if Tyrell Ford gets over under 2 interceptions.
That would be interesting if they drilled down that far on the defensive side.
That's what I was going to say. I think some sites do more on NFL and stuff, and CFL don't quite get the same respect for that. But let's get to rushing. Brady Oliveira over under 70.5. Whoops. I'm going to take it's your little thing that's messing up me, Ryan. That's why I thought I keep thinking I'm there. I'm not. I'm going to take the over on that. Oh man, this is the last time I'm going to run a show. I'm going to take the over. I think Collaros is going to maybe not have as an effective game, and they're going to lean on that running game a little bit more. Adam?
I'm going to go with the over on this one because sorry, I'm yawning a bit today. If Brady Oliveira does not have a good game, essentially the Bombers could be in trouble, but I think they got enough weapons around it. But even then, they're going to make Oliveira run. Give me the over.
Trying to look at what Brady Oliveira's rushing totals were just quickly in the 2 games against the Argos so far this year. 12 carries for 64 in week 19, 13 carries for 96. So he's pretty close in that category. I'm really tempted to take the under, but I'll take the over because I see the perspective of the Argo or the Bombers leading this game and trying to run it down their throats in the fourth quarter. So I would go over.
Over, sweet. And then we'll go to the other side. Kadeem Carey, 68.5. I'm going to go with the under, surprisingly here, only because, again, I think that the Argos, I don't know, I have a feeling they're going to come out gunning it just because, again, I could see both sides. You got the uneasy running, or the backup quarterback. You run it? No, they're going to come out. They're going to come out guns blazing on the passing yards and catch the Bombers sleeping. Ryan, what do you think?
I'm going to go over on it just based on I think he's the best offensive weapon they probably should be leaning on in this game. I think Carey's had a very good season, and I think that is where the Bombers are most susceptible as to the run game. So I'll take the over. Adam?
Yeah, I'm going to take the over too because I think they're going to have to. I mean, it's actually not as easy as a pick as it would obviously sound because I think that Kadeem Carey could get shut down pretty fast if the Bombers get up by a multi-score game pretty quick, because I think they're going to have to try to throw the ball. But I think Kadeem Carey is still going to be a big part of this. So, yeah, give me the over.
Over on that. Just, sorry, I'm missing a stat here. Let me just pick one up. Receiving. I missed a receiving one.
I can find it for you if you need. If you want to.
I got it. Yeah. No, there we go. It was the one I was more interested about. There's 6 receivers. Let's not go through all of them, but maybe one here. Malachi Polk is my interesting one here. Over under 71.5. We talked about it earlier, so give me the over on that one. I think he'll be a big part of this game. Adam?
If the Argos are going to win, he's going to have to be. So, yeah. I'm not sure if he will be, though, because, again, the quarterback, the obvious says no, but you know what? Somebody's got to have a good game. Yeah, give me the over.
Ryan?
I'll take the over on it as well. I pulled up the old fantasy charts, and he's got the best wide receiver matchup for Toronto positionally against the Bombers by far. They give up more to that position than others by a couple fantasy points wise, so that translates to I think if they're going to get things going offensively, it's got to go through Polk.
No, I like it. And then we'll just do one receiver on the Bomber side. Let's go with Ontario Wilson. His over-under is 52.5. They also had Dembski and Lawler's stats up there, but I think Wilson's the more intriguing piece here because Grey Cups, there's always a guy on the team that shows up, and he's had a pretty good year. So I'm going to take the over 52.5. I think maybe the Toronto defense will maybe lock down Lawler and Dembski a little bit, which forces the ball to go elsewhere. Ryan?
I agree with everything he said, so I'd go over for the same reason.
Ryan, Adam?
Yeah, no, I'll go on the over on the same reasons too. I just his position wise, he should get the over where he lines up.
Awesome. Then, oh yeah, you are. At least it's not me for once tonight. I'll take that. Let's get into some fun bets, a little bit better here. First team to score will win the game. Yes is minus 175. The no, you get a little bit better odds at plus 125. I'm going to go with no, and I'll explain a little bit more as we go along, but I have a feeling that maybe the Argos take a little early lead in this one and put a little fear of God into those Bombers, or vice versa, and the other team will come back in the second. Adam, how do you feel about the first team to score will win the game?
I just want to go and win some extra money, so I'm going to go and say Toronto kicks a Rouge on the first play of the game, gets a 1-0 lead, and then the Bombers go and stomp them. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the no.
I was going to say the no for the same reason that I think Janarian Grant gets them good into a good field position. They got it with first down or two and kick field goal early on in the game.
I do have a update also for the awards here. The Commissioner's Award, recognition of the foundations built in the CFL, again, getting community involved, getting things done. Essentially, it's for the owners, just so they can kiss their own ring, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, BC Lions owner Amar Doman is the winner of the Commissioner's Award for 2024. Yeah, I think he's done lots for the CFL this year, so that's good.
By the way, when we're talking about first team to score, and that kind of comes down to what the coin flip is going to be.
Yeah,
I have to say my favorite moment for the entire West Final was when they did the coin flip, and it was Remembrance Day weekend, so they had the special coin with like the poppy on one side and the memorial on the other. And ref asks the riders to go and pick poppy or memorial. And I think it was Brett Lauder was the captain. He was like, can I pick tails? Which one's tails? As if he was like really like struggling with the tradition. He had all planned out he was going to pick tails and didn't know what to do when the coin didn't match. And maybe that was just symbolic for how the rest of the game went for the Saskatchewan Roughriders after they were not allowed to pick tails.
We lost because of the game planning on the heads and tails.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next fun one we got here. Length of the national anthem. They have the over-under at 94.5 seconds. Oh, man. I had these all typed out earlier. I'm going to go under. I bet it'll be a nice and quick one here. I'll go with the under on that one, Ryan. Are you Googling average length of Canadian national anthem?
I may have been.
93 seconds.
Well, my math was wrong at first, and I thought, the first video that popped up was 94, but it was 74 seconds. So I'm gonna go under on this one. Do we know who's singing the anthem?
That's what I'm just looking up here.
That's what I didn't. I know that I saw the pregame show, but I didn't know the.
So it is Sophia Kamara. Apparently some sort of, I'm not sure what exactly or who exactly she is. It's somebody that's looking for a little bit of an advancement in her career, probably wants to milk it for what it's worth. I'm going to go with the over on this one here and say that it'll be over 93 seconds.
I love it. Now we're going to get into some team-specific over-unders. Well, we're slowly inching our way to our final choices here to end off this crazy show. Over-under, they have the Bombers at 30.0 for the Bombers alone in this game. I will actually go over, even though I don't think the Bombers going to have a crazy offensive output. But there might be a crazy pick or two in this game, Ryan.
Is the over under 30 points for the game in total, not just the Bombers? Because based on the track record, that's pretty close. I'm going to go under on this one, just based on recent Grey Cup performances.
I think both of these Ds are going to stand out, and I think I'm going to go with the under as well. Could be a very low-scoring game for this Grey Cup.
Well, yeah, the total is actually for the game is 51. So the Argos over/under is 20.5 in this one. I'm going to go over once again. I could see this one being more 38, 34. Kind of territory. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. Nice weather in the dome. I know both teams got good offenses, and I know what John Madden said, defense wins championships, but I think there will be some scoring in this one. Adam, what do you think about the Argos at 20.5?
Well, I think John Madden, if he was right now up in heaven, he's probably chewing on a big turkey leg and saying it's still defenses that win championships. So 20.9, you said, or 20.7? It's under 21, though, right?
20.5.
20.5?
Could you imagine you're looking at the what?
Well, no, I was just wondering if it was 20.5 or 21.5 because I think the Argos probably can get 3 scores or 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I'm going to go with the over on this one here too.
No,
Not very high to hit three scores.
I misheard you. Maybe I'm overtired. I thought you said, is it 20.5 or 20.7? That's what I heard. And I'm like, that doesn't make a difference. Could you imagine you see a line at 20.6? Anyway, yeah, it's at 20.5. Ryan for the Argos.
I'm going to go under on this one here. I think this is going to be another low-scoring game in total, and I have them probably coming in like the 15 to 18-point range.
No, I like it. A couple more here, and then we'll get into our final picks. First team to score. Winnipeg is the favorite at -169, while the Argos is at +132. We kind of talked about it earlier. First team to score will win the game. Maybe this starts giving away my picks, but I'm going to say Toronto is the first team to score. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. I think I've got Toronto as the first team to score here.
Adam, you concur? Yeah, okay, here we go. Moving along. First half money line. The Bombers are -286 to be winning at halftime, while the Argos are +208 odds to be winning at halftime. And I'm going to go maybe a little crazy here. I'm going to think the Argos are going to be up at halftime in a tight game here. Adam, who do you think is going to be winning at halftime?
Well, I've got the Bombers. I think they're going to come out early and often and probably make Toronto's day very miserable. So, yeah, give me the Bombers.
Ryan?
I'm going to go with the Bombers on this one as well. Although I do see your argument, Trey, and money-wise, it's probably more value in going the Argos direction. But I do think I think Winnipeg overall is going to be learning a lot from its recent failures in the Grey Cup and is going to come out strong in this one.
I can hear you. Last bet, and then we'll get into the main ones here. Last team to score. I'm going to go with Winnipeg. He'll be a game-winning touchdown or field goal down at the end. Ryan?
I'm going to go with the Argos just because they may put up a touchdown and make it close in garbage time.
Right. Adam?
I think the Bombers are just going to probably be good enough to... Yeah, no, I'm going to go with the Bombers in this.
Quick CFL awards update. The Jane Mobby Tribute Award recognizes a highly valued, often unsung employee at the club or league level. Went to Carolyn Cody, the Vice President of Business Operations and Marketing in the BC Lions, who also happens to be the one that sent me the BC Lions hat this year. So shout out to her. Well deserved.
There we go. Another award off the table. Now, we'll get to the ones we do every week. We'll kick off with the spread. Last time, Adam, what do you got to say?
One more. Can I throw one more bet in on this, or just for you guys as well? Sure. Probability, or will it happen that Ben Major has to make another call after the football hits the scoreboard? Is it going to happen or no? Yes or no? Simple as that.
It's got to happen. That's the one thing I want.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I want to see the trilogy, man. I want the trilogy.
The yes has to be like at -2,000 odds or something too. Like it has to happen. Yeah. Yeses across the board on that. Spreads. Bombers still pretty heavy favorite. I thought this would close a little more. We've seen it be anywhere from 10.5 down to 8.5 and kind of in between. Now it's at 9. I'm still kind of amazed by that. I'll kick this off. I'm gonna go with Toronto +9. I don't think it's gonna be that big of a score in this one. Normally you take the rule is to even the crazy spread, you should only take the team if you think they have a chance of winning. I think Toronto got a decent chance of winning. We saw 3 of the 6 CFL experts take the Argos. We've seen worse teams beat better teams in the Grey Cup. +9. Adam, what do you think about the spread?
It's a pretty decent spread. I think that it could have been higher too. I mean, again, you're going in with a quarterback that hasn't played really well. Again, he played some garbage time games, but nothing major in Toronto. And I mean, Winnipeg is going in almost. No, I mean they got injuries. I mean, obviously Chris Traveler's not there. Adam Baghill isn't there. Dalton Schoen isn't there, possibly. Again, I think if I was odds makers, I would have made probably even a bigger odds for Winnipeg, to be honest. That being said, the quarterback position is a terrible one to lose at this time of year. And again, you're putting a guy that hasn't had very much time in there. I like Winnipeg for that reason alone, just because there isn't a lot of experience there in the spot. And I mean, Nick Arbuckle has been proven to not be able to take pressure very well. If Winnipeg can get the ball out and get again, big Willie Jefferson running ball down the field real easy. If Haba gets into that backfield, or even if Garbage can kind of make a big play, the D-line could be eating a lot of plays. Even if they get the knockdowns, it to me, it looks like, I would say, all Winnipeg at this point.
Ryan?
My general rule of thumb, as much as I do think Winnipeg's going to be firing on all cylinders in this game, my general rule of thumb when the spread is this big is I'm going to get it wrong either way, but take the team to cover the large scale of points. Even in the 2021 Grey Cup, the Bombers won. They went to overtime. They didn't look great in that game. They need to come back to do it. They've lost the last two coming into this. I see a scenario where this game is closer than 9 points for sure. So I would probably lean that just because it gives you much more range of outcomes.
No, 100%. And then real quick, I was going to do the over-under 51 points, but I took the over both times earlier when it came to team-specific, and Ryan, you took the under both times, so I guess you'd be under 51. I'd be over 51. Adam, you split them up. You said over to the Argos, but under to the Bombers. Do you think the total will be over 51 or not?
No, I really don't think it'll be over 51. I think that you're going to see a pretty close game. Again, I think the Toronto Argonauts are going to get probably 20 points. Again, you're looking at maybe the Winnipeg Blue Bombers ending up with 29, 30 points, which is still 50 points. It's still under 51. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the under on this one here. Do we want to just do outright winners of the game?
That's coming up. That's coming up.
Okay.
Should we add score predictions into it as well, just to make it extra interesting?
Yeah, we could do that. Throw that in. Well, let's do that after our picks, because if we do scores, I guess that ruins who we are picking a little bit. Because it always comes down to who you're picking. It's at the end of the show. Time to pick here. Our friend AFN or XFL Mike, he threw a poll on Facebook on AFN. Who claims the Grey Cup? At the time of this, 83 votes for the Bombers, while 51 took the Argos, so a slight edge towards the Bombers. But I think there's a lot of that Winnipeg hate coming around. The Argos are plus 355 dogs, while the Bombers are minus 455. Man, like I said, the experts were split 3-3 down the middle. Some of the experts that were doing better this year took the Argos, which makes me a little scared. But I guess maybe they had enough lead where they don't care and they can risk it. I'll take the Bombers minus 455. There's absolute no value. If you are a degenerate gambler and you just want beer money, bet the Argos. Obviously, what's the worst going to happen? You lose your $10. But if you want to bet what's actually going to happen, take the Bombers. And my score, what did I say earlier? Say 38-34 final for Winnipeg in that one. Ryan, what do you got?
I'm going with the Bombers as well. I think it will be within 9 points, though, and I do think it's going to be under, so give me 25-18 Winnipeg. I think they win by a touchdown.
I think that the Toronto Argonauts, I mean, it's been a nice run here, but you don't have your top gun, and as much as people don't like Chad Kelly, he is a really good quarterback. And that's a big part of the Toronto offense. So I'm going to go with as much as it pains me to say this, because I don't want Winnipeg to win anything, and I wish they were probably in ninth place every season, but they aren't. They're going to win another Grey Cup here. It's going to be 30-20 for the Bombers, and that probably includes at least one or two Rouges.
Quick awards show update. The Tom Pate Award, awarded by the CFLPA for best sportsmanship. Adam, you're going to love this one. Went to Adam Bighill of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
What was the award for again? It couldn't be for playing.
Sportsmanship.
Oh, really? Somebody phone Shea Patterson, ask him how he thinks of that award. The guy, I mean, he uses his head every play for, just unfortunately, literally his head. Whatever.
That's funny. That's funny.
I'm glad he got an award before he retires.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot to talk about in the off season, and that's probably one of them. A lot of quarterback carousels, but we got one hell of a game. I think it'll be good regardless of either way. It would. Part of me kind of wants to see a Bomber dominant Grey Cup. They put a bow on this last 5 years. Toronto makes a big blowout. That would be a hell of a game. Or we see a tight overtime thriller. I think the Grey Cup's always a good one. Before we get into wrapping up, XFL Mike says he's got to take the Toronto. He's been rooting for them down south, so can't abandon ship. Good pun. There. Coming in. I like it. Maybe he didn't even mean it, but that's how my head read it. If you're still watching, I think everyone who's watching, throw in your picks real quick here in the chat while we round out. It was a fun day. We had the official simulation that had a 2017 final, which is kind of close to what Ryan predicts. He has 25-18 for the Bombers. Adam's going a little bit higher. I'm going for more of the shootout type Grey Cup. I think the Dome will be nice. Joe Bros will fire them up at halftime, and they'll come out and throw a couple touchdowns in the third quarter. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap up? Big Buffs game tomorrow, Adam. You good? Are you ready?
Yeah, big hockey game. Guys are ready. They were all lots of practice the other night. I mean, I'm sure everybody came here for the Theodore Buffaloes update, but nevertheless,
That's the only reason I show up to the podcast.
That's why I left it till the end, man. If I brought it up the first 5 minutes, everyone would leave.
Sure.
We're gonna see viewership just go from down to 0 right now.
Pretty well. Yeah. Anyways, you know what? Now we're ready to roll, I think. And again, when it's not football season, it's senior hockey season around here. So, hopefully everything goes well. And also, everybody also out at the Grey Cup. Hey, have some fun, drink some beers, have fun. It's celebration time. It's one of the best parties you'll ever be to. So, if you've never been to a Grey Cup, for those that are just kind of tuning in, maybe here for the first time, because I see some new names, so welcome. If you've never been to a Grey Cup and you have a chance to go to a Grey Cup, go to a Grey Cup, but be there for the whole week. You'll never regret it. It's so much fun.
Don't leave on Saturday when it's in your home city, Adam.
Yeah, no, never do that.
I see a couple more comments in the chat here. First half under is the favorite bet. I see Royce saying Winnipeg gets my vote. Royce is playing in the AFN league with Trey and I. Me and him had a good matchup for first place this past week. That went my direction. So good matchup there. Coach of the year just announced in the CFL. Jason Maas of the Montreal Alouettes. Rough night for one Adam Stewart here tonight.
Actually not bad. I mean, Jorgen Hughes won an award and did get the defensive player of the year, so I'll take it. But nevertheless, Corey Bass was the other guy running in that award pack. And I'm just seeing what the results were, how close it was. It was very close because 30 of 56 votes went to Jason Maas, so essentially one vote, 2 votes.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that, but I guess you have to look at it. I mean, their receiving core was completely decimated this year.
Quarterback was injured for 6 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
no Gatorade jugs were broken this year. No headsets were thrown.
Yeah.
He didn't make any questionable decisions. Yeah, he actually had a pretty good year if you look at it for Jason Maas.
All honesty, he's had a good year. I mean, he was the best team in probably the league for probably 3/4 of the season. He just couldn't get it done in the East Final. But if you look at the regular season records, Jason Maas had a very good season with his Alouettes and probably is well deserving of the award. And again, the runner-up, Corey Mace, had a very good season as well. But, yeah, probably got dominated a little bit in the West Final. That might have hurt him a little bit.
Before we get to the wrap up, because the CFL awards are not going to finish before we do, should we call our picks for the last couple? I think most outstanding Canadian and MOP before we head out. Who's up for most outstanding Canadian?
I believe it's Brady Oliveira and who's the other one?
Mike says Toronto 27-17. Diehards will understand. For those that are new here, when Michael Garrell, member of this podcast, predicts that the Toronto Argonauts are going to win 27-17, what he really means is that he is predicting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going to win like 30-10. But this is reverse psychology that Mike thinks will affect the outcome of this football game.
It hasn't worked for his Cowboys all year.
Unless he's predicting for the other or predicting for his team to win. Maybe he stopped it in I mean, are they getting blinds and putting up yet in the on the windows yet in New State AT&T?
No, and Jerry Jones thinks home field advantage is a thing. He actively went and said, it was either him or Mike McCarthy went and said that they're not going to put the blinds up because that is part of their home field advantage is the sunlight getting in the players' eyes.
Yeah.
See, home field does exist, Trey.
Oh, I think if Jerry Jones says it, that's more of a reason it doesn't. But anyway,
quick.
Oh, you go.
Yeah, you got it.
I did, and then I forgot it. It was Brady Oliveira for most outstanding Canadian with Isaac Ademi Berglund from Montreal. And then most outstanding player Oliveira and Bo Levi Mitchell.
So MOC first.
Yeah, sure.
What are you thinking, Adam?
I'm thinking Oliveira. Again, very rare that I think an old lineman would beat a running back, Canadian running back. And again, Oliveira is pretty impactful in the games. Back in the day, I wouldn't want to have him win it, but you know what? I still don't want him to win it. But gee, I guess he's going to win it. So give it to Oliveira.
You should want him because if he gets a bonus from it, that goes into the salary cap, doesn't it? And then that's a bigger fine for us, and people think we cheat.
I'm so worried about Winnipeg getting a big fine.
When you should want that. You should want that. You should want that.
This point, go ahead.
I gotta go with Oliveira on this one as well. I think there's a reason he's the most outstanding player nominee, and that it's because he's the most outstanding Canadian in the CFL. Trey, what do you think?
100. We sweep it. It's Oliveira. Yeah. And then MOP. What do you guys think? Oh, excuse me.
Who I want to win or who I think will win?
Either. Your interpretation, man.
Okay, well, who I want to win is Bo Levi Mitchell because he honestly was the most outstanding player in the whole East Division, essentially. He was on a Hamilton team that until probably Labor Day or so was pretty darn terrible. I mean, it's crazy to say that the guy that was benched for Taylor Powell ended up becoming the MOP, but it's true. I mean, he must have got real motivation out of it. And Bo Levi Mitchell, congratulations. You can officially say that we're all fans here of the show now, and we will definitely adore you from years to come after going and trash talking you for countless weeks in the offseason here last year. So I want Bo Levi Mitchell to win it, but I think Brady Oliveira is going to win it.
Yeah, I think Brady is likely going to win this one as well, but I would give my vote to Bo Levi Mitchell. I just think compared to all the other quarterbacks around the league, nobody played to the level Bo did this year. And yes, Brady had a pretty fantastic year. I think it's padded a little bit by the touchdowns that really, for the most part, only came down the stretch once Chris Streveler got injured. Whereas Bo Levi Mitchell, and I take into account just how our expectations for both of them coming into the year. Bo went far and above beyond what we could have expected from him. So you know what? Give him most outstanding player. I hope he wins it.
I think it's going to be Bo.
You think?
Bo.
I'd love to see.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Well, I mean, I think so. And what does it hurt? If it's Bo, I look like a genius. If it's not Bo, I'd be like, whatever. You guys all wanted it too.
That's fair.
But I think Bo. I'd give it to Bo, and I'll go with Bo.
I can't argue the logic.
I'm still trying to figure out how people want sportsmanship.
I had to bring that one up just for you.
Fine, I hope Miles Brown wins it next year.
Too far, Adam. Too far.
Sure not.
Presented by Chris Trevler.
Okay, guys, we're at the 2-hour mark. I'm sick of you guys. Let's get out of here. Just kidding. I love you guys. You guys are my best friends. Before we go, we'll be back Sunday, right? Mike's hosting a little get-together Sunday. Okay, wasn't sure about that. Sunday after the game, Mike's hosting a little post-game show. He asked us if any of us were showing up, and we all kind of gave him flaky answers, but I'm sure one of us might be in there with him as well. So if it depends on how it goes. If I'm not at Portage in Maine celebrating a big win, I'll be on. So we'll see how it goes. Check us out on social media, Twitter or the X at CF Countdown Pod, or on Facebook at facebook.com/CF Countdown Pod. Ryan, what did you create today? Tell the people about that.
Yeah, you can, there's seen a lot of momentum over the last little bit, seemingly ever since a certain major world event in the United States that people have been abandoning or migrating over from the old X sphere to a spot where the skies are bluer and the grass is greener. So, we do now have an account on Blue Sky if you are trying that social network out as well. I've also created mine there today, so follow us over there and look forward to all the fun stuff over there as well. Same handle at CF Countdown Pod there as well.
Good. Yeah, you can find me at Adam Stewart 1 most times. I'm probably yakking about a football game or probably lots about senior hockey right now, to be honest with you. But hey, if something interests you about senior hockey in Saskatchewan, by all means, tune in to me. I'll talk about it. Just want to also throw a shout out to everybody watching this. I see there's a lot of new faces in the crowd tonight. So thank you very much for tuning in for a few minutes here and getting a little bit of a CFL preview of the Grey Cup, the 111th. Been a great season in the CFL. Of course, the other thing also to do is if you've been just tuning in this and you like what you see, make sure you tune over to our Discord channel. That there is where you'll see us usually either sharing pointless, funny memes to each other about CFL stuff. You'll see all sorts of insight from Ryan talking about fantasy. That's kind of one of our specialties, is talking about the fantasy plays and what you should look at, what you shouldn't look at, and that sort of thing. And, of course, you'll get the latest CFL news as we get it to tell you all about what's going on in the league. So, hey, make sure you check out our Discord channel for the Canadian Football Countdown. And, visit with us there because we're there pretty much all the time.
I'll throw out, you talked about Mike's show on Sunday as well, post-game show, so that'll be later in the evening. Exact time, I think, to be determined yet. But that'll be a live recap of the Grey Cup. And then sometime next week or the week after, we've got a bit of a scheduling conflict that we have to talk about still yet. But we will have our season wrap-up. We'll wrap up the season, take the look ahead to the off-season, and then to be determined what the off-season content looks like this year yet. I've got some fun ideas for things we can do throughout the off-season, but generally in December, it's a lot more sporadic over the next little while as we take a bit of a break after a long and grueling season.
Yeah, exactly. So Adam mentioned the Discord. You mentioned that. Also, check out all the great shows around the Canadian Football Podcast Network, as well at CF Pod Network on the X, and to our friends at the Alternative Football Network at the official AFN on Twitter, or alternativefootballnetwork.com. Got a lot of shout out and blast from them this week. Discord, support the show, whatever platform you're on. We appreciate it if you do all the fun things such as like, comment, subscribe, rate, review. Unless it's a 1 out of 5, then we don't want to hear it. Share the show with your friends. Help us grow the show. We always appreciate that. Just kidding. If we actually think we suck, give us a 1 out of 5 so I'll control you. Yes, Adam.
Brady Oliveira just won the MOC.
MOC. Okay.
And we're also like a minute and a half away from the MOP announcement.
Let's just stick to that.
Okay.
Yeah, may as well hang out for a minute and a half. Anybody got any good stories there in the chat?
Hey, Adam, I want your opinion. Juan Soto to the Jays. What do you think of that?
I don't think it'll happen, but maybe
I want it to so bad, though.
No, I wanted Ohtani last year, and that didn't happen either. So,
yeah,
it's unfortunate, but you know what? I'll be honest, Toronto just doesn't have any draw power.
I know. I'm even worried that they're not going to re-sign Vladdy.
I think he's going to go eventually.
Yeah,
I mean, he'll be here this year, but...
Well, this is his last year coming up, so they're starting to do that because the thing was they should re-sign him, because if you can re-sign him for 10 years, then maybe a guy like Soto will say, oh, you're building here, I'll stay here. But if they're like, well, if Vladdy won't re-sign, why would I come here? So that was
honestly, I mean, I know Vladdy probably does like Toronto, but are you honestly winning if you bring in as Juan Soto, do you think you can win a championship here? I don't think so.
You have to bring a lot more and everything. I mean, they said this for a couple of years that they want to spend money. I mean, they put aside whatever $500 million to potentially sign Ohtani last year. So hopefully they can do something with that this year. And I mean,
because all honesty, the Blue Jays need bullpen help big time. They need probably another 2 bats, which Soto helps, but they need 2 more bats other than Vladdy. And honestly, Rogers win if they ever wanted to spend that kind of money. I'm sorry, but I might go and take a reverse for Arash Madani right now and just say I don't think they are going to go and do it. And the Blue Jays are just not that team that are really going to probably go anywhere. And unfortunately, it's going to cost them Vladdy in the end.
And the Most Outstanding Player Award is in. The CFL Most Outstanding Player for 2024 is give me a B, give me an O. No, it's not Bo, it's Brady Oliveira.
Yeah. To be expected. I mean, good job. He did have a good season. Again, Bo had a great one. I think Brady had a very good season too. And I mean, there was times where he was trying to hold them into games. Even when he wasn't getting touchdowns, he was still moving the ball. So give him that. He did have a pretty good season. Congratulations to Brady Oliveira. He finally got his MOP. Now can we move on to Roland Milligan?
Next year, maybe. Next
year.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
All right, let's get out of here. Do the thing. Wrap it up, Trey.
Well, I'm in charge, so maybe let's stretch it out. No, okay. What did I say? Support the show, like I said. Like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever the wonderful things you could do. Thank you to everyone in the chat today. We have had XFM Mike, our Mike being silly with the wrong pick, some betting stuff. I like it. Someone asking me what's in my pen. We had everything. I love it. It will be back, like we said, Sunday, maybe next week sometime. On behalf of my boy Ryan, Adam, Mike, because he's still on the show sometimes. We'll see you later. Oh, I got to get the outro ready here. 1 second. Okay, bye.